Time.
Hi, everybody. I am Cassandra Dallett, a local poet and writer and the host of a podcast, the Badass Bookworm podcast. And so I will be posting this on the podcast, and Zarina will be posting it as well for her bookstore that she manages, Globus. So first of all, I just kind of want to introduce each of you and read the bios that we had sent. Okay, so Zarina, who really should take all credit for putting things together and showing us all how to use this, is the manager at Globus, an independent bookstore serving San Francisco since 1971, offers a wide-ranging and always changing stock of books on all things Russia. Russian and Soviet classic literature, philosophy and poetry, politics, history, culture, sports, travel, and culinary arts. In Russian, or a unique selection of English language books on Russia and former Soviet republics, featuring translations of major literary works and a comprehensive collection of children's books. Globus is actively working with the libraries across the states on completing their holdings for Russian publications, both contemporary and out of print. The Globus Books team is well known on the rare book market for its expertise in first editions of Russian literature, books on the Russian avant-garde, early imprints in travel and voyage books. Zarina Zabrisky, a San Francisco-based author, grew up in St. Petersburg, Russia, in a family obsessed with books, studied literature, and wrote and got published around the world. Managing Globus Books is her dream day job. She brings her experience in organizing events, readings, interviews, and journalistic skills to the table. Amen to that. I'm so happy for you, finding your dream job.
No kidding.
And we have Kate, Razo. And the bio is, I started my first bookshop, Phoenix Books, in 1985 at the age of 24, which I feel like giving you a round of applause. That's amazing. I have since had 5 bookshops in 8 different locations. Currently, there's my second bookshop, Dogeared Books, which I started in 1992 at 900 Valencia, yay, which is at the corner of 20th Street. Alley Cat Books opened in 2011, is located in the Cali 24 Latino Cultural District at 3036 24th Street. Love Alley Cat. So that's you? I didn't even know that. I love Alley Cat.
Yep.
And last but certainly, they've been shouted out on this podcast so many times, you guys. And last but certainly not least, Dogeared Books Castro, which opened almost 4 years ago, located at 489 Castro Street and is next door to Cliff's Variety, which everybody should know. Perhaps the most traveled retail location in the Castro. That's real talk. In her spare time, Kate paints portraits, and it's capital Kate, capital Razo.com, and she's busily raising a delightful daughter, Hazel, who is 15 years old. So portrait. That's awesome. All kinds of creativity. And then we have Rebound Books joining us. I'm looking at the wrong email because I was trying to send you a link to the podcast, but I will do that later. Oh, delete, please, and give me my email.
What happened?
I don't know. It's a weird phone thing. Okay, there we go. Rebound Bookstore in downtown San Rafael has been in operation for 15 years. We are a general collection used bookstore, some new books, mainly local authors. That's awesome. With approximately 35,000 items in the store, we do cultural events in the store and make it available for workshops, special talks, etc. We describe ourselves as the biggest little bookstore in the universe, a cultural engine for the community. Our advertised hours were 10 to 6, Monday through Saturday. We're on the Central Commercial Street in a residential district of older homes, 1880s to 1920s. Older customers on limited income have been forced out, and they have been replaced by young families with kids or singles who work in San Francisco. Foot traffic is not strong, but we have become a destination business. Many regulars and tourists who visit local families and friends shop with us. I'm definitely going to come through now. Yay. Soul Food and Rebound Books. Those will be my destinations in San Rafael.
Thank you.
So, Zarina, you have some topics ready to go. Do you want to ask those?
Right. So as I said, I thought that we all would start with just a few minutes informal briefing on what's happening right now, because all the stores are amazing. I mean, being around in the community and really are staples of the community. Anybody who loves books in San Francisco Bay Area knows these stores. So what is happening to us now in this particular situation? And I thought I would start just, and then you continue with whatever comes to mind. It's a working discussion. And after that, I thought we would look through some materials that I was able to find, like really browsing around the web, looking at the city, state, and federal level to see what kind of support in terms of loans or grants or determined of the taxes and so forth and local rules that could be applied to us. So for Globus Books, we were happily video recording our first trailer for our brand new YouTube channel when the order to shelter in place came. Because the trailer is only 1 minute long, we finished the trailer and I just closed everything, and we only have 2 employees. It's a very small store, although we also have about 30,000 books in the warehouse that is behind the store. But so we had to pack everything and just leave before we figure the situation out. After that, we kind of looked through everything, and I figured out that some of us can work from home. There's a lot of marketing, there's a lot of online events that we can put together, exploring the possibilities to sell books online, and I will go into that in a second. And we left one employee who lives a walking distance from the store doing the inventory, because as I understand the mayor's order, it's okay to maintain the minimal basic operation, which includes inventory. And so she's there alone. She's not interfering with anyone. The door is closed, and she's just going through the computer database. So, but this is one of my questions. How does everybody see the order, and what is the basic minimum operation? Can we ship books? Can we go to the post office? Can we interact with the mail person? I've been focusing on figuring out how we can still ship books, because obviously the books that are in the store right now are off limits. But like most stores, we use Ingram for new books. So Ingram is still doing delivery, and they do home deliver to home delivery. So we tried that with few customers that we have. I ordered one book to come to my place, to my home address to check it. It still didn't arrive, but I understand that they're also working hard, and I don't quite get it. How is it legal for them to maintain the operations? Because it's like us, they're not essential. So I don't have a clear understanding of how it's working. And I'm also a little bit concerned of the health implications, because the latest research shows that the virus can stay on the cardboard surfaces for many hours, from 48 and up. It's still undetermined. So are we risking the employers' lives? Are we risking the customers' health? I mean, everybody's still doing deliveries, so obviously it's probably okay to do it, but I kind of thinking through that and want to hear what you guys think about that. And we are going to do a lot of YouTube shows. We already started to work with actors I know and local performers to do readings and to do panels. And that's pretty much it so far.
Amazon's delivering books. How are they doing it? Amazon's delivering all kinds of stuff. Toilet paper.
Good question.
You're lucky.
You're lucky. I like your shirt. Nice shirt.
I'll give you one.
How are we gonna, I mean, Some people are doing curbside delivery. I think as long as we are in this shelter at home, it doesn't feel responsible to me to do these things. I think the big question for me is, how long is this order going to be in place? How long can we survive as we're sitting on our hands, really? You know, is it really April 7th, or is it another 3 weeks? Is it another 3 months? I'm a big fan of planning ahead, but it's hard. So initially, when all of this came down, I planned for 6 weeks right off the bat. I thought, okay, let's go down the middle. Who knows what we have happening here? But who knows? I mean, that's the whole thing. We don't know for how long. I think we're essential businesses, but you know, my brothers made this joke that we should just implement the "you touch it, you buy it" policy. Sure, which had kind of cut to the chase, which is hilarious, and obviously, you know, we're not going to do that. But I don't know. I mean, more questions than answers.
How are your employees taking this?
Oh, it's awful. It's awful. Everybody's on unemployment, which may or may not qualify us for the sick leave that London Breed is offering, but I'm applying for it. I figure they can deny me.
Right.
I told everybody to use their paid time off if they want to. So we're hoping to do a full payroll. We do payroll every 2 weeks. I've got almost 20 employees. It's heartbreaking, you know. Different people have different situations. A bunch of them are living check to paycheck. I've encouraged everybody to apply for those BINC grants. I've applied for some of those $10,000 grants through the ABA. I don't know if I'll get them. I mean, there's so many questions. You know, Facebook's releasing all this money, but who the hell knows? And Verizon, the Verizon grant, you know, and London Breed's making all these promises, but there aren't any applications. So, you know, I come from the generation of using a tea bag twice. You know, I don't know. I mean, I could talk a lot about my personal philosophy, but I don't think that's really what this is about. So, I mean, I think one of the things that we did do that I think is very helpful is we did the bookshop.com through the website, and that is that direct delivery. And we set that up several weeks back. So luckily that was already up and rolling, and we're moving that forward, you know, and people are ordering some books. I mean, just to talk about myself here for a minute, the things that we're doing that have been successful so far are, you know, really ramping up the website, asking people to buy gift cards for the future. Some people are being very generous. And I launched GoFundMe campaigns because I didn't know what to do. You know, we've only got money for 4 weeks. And then what do? Then you're looking at these SBA loans. And I think you need to really look at a lot of these things very carefully that are being offered, because some of them we need to pay them back within 6 months or 12 months. It's a good interest rate, but who knows that we're going to make the money back in that time and we're going to be able to pay it back that quickly. But the GoFundMe, people have been very generous, and that's very helpful. You know, I'm trying to make my rent. I'm sure we're all in the same situation. It's not, you know.
I think that, how do I get the picture on me while I'm talking? You guys can see me?
We can see you.
Okay. We're up in San Rafael. We're out of San Francisco. So some of the things that were done in San Francisco to relieve a small business crisis aren't happening up here. I have to check on those, but I did ask some questions here about our situation. If we go into our own business without any employees, just my wife and myself who run the business, we're essentially performing a function inside that business. We're not in violation of the shelter in place. We're sheltered inside our business, and then we go home and we shelter inside our home. In between, we shelter in our car. So I asked about that, and nobody's raised any eyebrows about that. If we get a delivery from the U.S. mail, which is how we get the books coming to us or things coming to us, that's legitimate. I mean, the U.S. mail is legitimate. I also asked about the fact that if somebody wanted to bring by a bookstore donation, that's considered a commercial delivery. So they're dropping off the book outside the store. We tell them to wear gloves when they're packing them and wear gloves when they deliver them. And we just let them sit for 24 hours before we open the box, which means that if there's a virus on the box, it's dead, and we're wearing gloves anyway. Any boxes or books that we handle have been sitting in the store for 2 weeks now. So anybody that might have put a book on the shelf 2 weeks ago that was infected is gone. I just lost the picture again. I don't know how to stop that. What's happening?
We can see you fine.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Anyway, so I think that some of those logistical concerns, also somebody answered the question on the news the other day, what about packages in the mail? What about cardboard boxes? And they seem to feel that that was not a problem. And there is no record of anybody getting the virus or getting anything else in that regard. So I think that we can continue to operate in that way. I've checked on some of that, and I've got some definitive answers from the local city government. You know, for us, that's one of the problems here is we're all in a patchwork of solutions to problems, and something that somebody does somewhere else could put us in danger because they didn't think it through. Look what happened in New Orleans, things like that. So we just have to pretty much watch out for ourselves. We put this thing on our website, and we've put out an email. We have a mailing list of steady customers we have that they can order from us in the mail, online or on the phone. We get their, prepaid credit card. We address the book and we mail it out. Now, that's not going to be a very effective means of paying the rent. It does keep your contact and it does take the books out. We do some online sales, and under the current circumstances, those have increased considerably because of the fact that everybody's at home and they're looking to read. So it's kind of funny.
The libraries are closed.
They started out
Right.
kind of funny.
Right.
They started out with cookbooks and kid activity books. Now we're getting books on how to cope with a partner that you don't get along with. There's a kind of an interesting sort of a telltale biography of the books that people are ordering. Pretty soon we're going to start seeing books on how to do your own divorce, right? So that's been sort of interesting. But my opinion is once we establish a sort of pattern for what we have to do to just keep the water below our noses, I think making plans as an industry, how to recover, because as you just said, we're all just basically paying our bills, and if you take out a loan, how do you pay that back afterwards and still maintain under that recovery period? I mean, this means we have to make an effort to increase our business, which we were trying to do anyway, increase our business in a situation where a lot of our customers may be in more destitute financial situation. I mean, is it buy a book or buy a bag of potatoes, for people. So we're going to be facing a long-term depressed situation where how we survive after this, it becomes, I think, an important issue for discussion. The grants are important. Problem with a loan is that the banks, this is like the Dust Bowl. In the Dust Bowl, the banks took out loans. People, took out loans on their farms. They foreclosed, they lost, and the banks owned everything. And that's what we're looking at. The banks are not doing us any favors because there's interest on those loans. I called on one of my credit cards, and they said they would give me a forgiveness on the payment, but they would continue the interest. Big deal, right? Thanks for that. So
That's no different. There's nothing different.
yeah, right. So
Sorry.
Edward Stevenson once said a liberal is a person who will lynch you from a lower branch. So I think that we need to look at somehow being more strident about the long-term total recovery of the economy. The point about bookstores being a cultural institution raises us in terms of the value to the community, and I think that we need to find voices that are not bookstore owners. We need to find the neighbor next door who's running a hair salon who says, I get business because this bookstore is open. Or the restaurant that says, I get business. We need testimony from those people that we should be in a special category as an anchor location as a cultural magnet, as a business magnet for the stores around us. And I think that building the case for that before it becomes desperate is crucial. That's my opinion.
I really love what you said. I was just thinking the same, Joel. And that was one of my questions, actually. Can we establish strongly our position in the city as cultural institutions? Because then we qualify for this loan, under the program that London Bridge just announced, and for many other loans. And I'm not sure, Kate, do you know by any chance, do we count as a cultural institution?
I do not know. A lot of those definitions for those kinds of things, what is an emergency business? I mean, the liquor store on my corner is open, right?
What the hell? The liquor stores are open and we're not open.
Hey, that's important.
You gotta be crazy.
That's because they sell food. But, and stalagmite.
I
Now,
know.
so the definitions of what constitutes a cultural institution under the current circumstances may see some reevaluation. But the question is, we're facing, is there going to be a national definition of that? Or is it going to be up to any individual community? And we would need to have some precedent. What are they doing in New York? What are they doing in Chicago? What are they doing in LA? What are they doing in San Francisco? As soon as one of these cities says, oh yes, bookstores are more than just a retail outlet. Bookstores are a cultural magnet, a cultural institution. Then we have precedent to go with. So I think that getting the attention of local representatives who would be in a position to make that definition might be important, because they're going to have to mull it over, and they're going to be picked with other people and saying, what are you getting? What are you getting? So maybe the American Booksellers Association can apply some leverage. I don't know.
Is there an existing definition for a cultural institution? Because I assumed we are.
I didn't.
Yeah, well, you think so, and I think so, but somebody with a legal shingle has got to say yes, they are, and then we fall into that rubric, which makes us more applicable for grants and all the rest of that. So I don't know.
Well, the other thing to your point is real estate. Realtors really like bookstores. It's been proven time and again. A, we're a magnet for tourism, and B, any neighborhood with a bookstore is considered more desirable. And
yeah,
the realtors have a lot of
I mean, it's one of the most important things that a chamber of commerce will say. It's like, oh, well, we have a bookstore.
Exactly.
The tourists come will say, the first thing we're in a small town where the biggest thing that happens is like new manhole covers, right? That's front page news. But anybody that has a relative or a friend coming from out of town, they show up in the bookstore. I mean, people from all over the world. But how you document that in such a way as to leverage the determination of being, from a legal standpoint, a cultural institution is going to require some very focused paperwork and some very focused leverage.
This is a great point, Joel. This is a great point, and I want to take it from here because we only have 10 minutes left. I think maybe rather than discussing the grants in particular that I forwarded to you, we'll share.
Thank you for those.
Yeah, well, this is what I could find. There are probably more. I'll be looking and sharing more. But I think that probably the most important point in this discussion so far that I hear, and that we can do something about actually, is to see if we can get more bookstore owners and managers on board and do some sort of a coalition and address London Bridge and other city officials to establish or try to establish bookstores status as a cultural institution, because San Francisco, in fact, is famous for the bookstores. We'll see if we can get City Lights on board, Beat Museum.
So, a handful of years ago, myself and Denise Sullivan, who's a columnist at the Chronicle, the Examiner, we made a coalition called the United Booksellers of San Francisco, and we have a website, and we've reached out to a lot of different booksellers, and we have started that coalition. So maybe that's a good starting point to continue this idea that I think is so relevant in this moment. It's free to join. I just want to say you can fill out the form.
Yeah, and
maybe
we can consolidate not just San Francisco, but say
exactly.
And we
Yeah.
can, Pegasus and Berkeley and more, whatever.
Well, speaking of Pegasus, I see Charlie Jane Andrews
Yes.
posting this link to welovebookstores.org. And I
Yes.
did look through the list, but I assume your stores are on there, Kate. So that's a good way
Yes.
for people to participate.
They contacted
They're
us
doing
early
some
on.
fundraising events and
Amy Thomas over at Pegasus is incredibly intelligent and connected.
I'm in Oakland, so Pegasus is my go-to. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Amy's on it
Or
as
one of
another
them.
resource. Just-
Yeah.
I want to share an analogous situation. Back in the 80s, the Hotel Tax Fund in San Francisco was giving all of their money to like ACT and the opera, and all of the small theaters and art galleries said, we are the organizations that create the foundation reputation of San Francisco, the ethos that makes it a bohemian city. We should be getting that. And so they went to court for that, and the small theaters and the small art galleries then received a portion of the grant. So there was a precedent for that as cultural institutions being redefined and where that money can go.
That's great. That's a great point.
Sounds good.
I will
So is that, then we get the ABA involved or the NCIBA or what are the,
Yeah, I think we need to find out what's going on around the country because this kind of discussion is happening all over.
I mean,
Somebody's gonna
I
break
think
through.
this is the time to share resources and share information,
Yeah.
which I think booksellers have always been very good at, actually.
Yeah.
Because I think we've always felt a common goal and a common purpose. And God knows there's few of us left.
Can we set this up to do it again on a regular basis?
Yeah. Yeah. If we
I'm
start
definitely game.
to host, and we can invite other people, from the Bay Area, like I'm friends with people from the Beat Museum, and I mean, I'm sure everybody knows everyone. So let's all get together, and then what I'll try then next week is to put together everything that we've said and some sort of draft idea based on Kate, the organization that already exists, and the precedent that already existed, Joel, that you have mentioned. And that would be just a rough draft. And then we can invite other people. And I think the timing is also crucial. If we act now, and London Bridge seems to be willing to support arts, we just need to say and holla, hello, we are also art. We are a
Yes.
If we position ourselves as such, we might be surviving longer and supporting our employees better than we can now.
What we need more grant money. We don't need loans. Loans are
Amen.
problematic. We need more grant money. And what I'm noticing going through the lists that you sent was the for-profit businesses are exempt from many of those grants.
Yeah. Yeah. But
So I mean,
So most people listening are probably local writers because that's mostly who's been on the show. So ways they can support their local bookstores are ordering books
online, ordering gift cards, going to the GoFundMe. You guys should all set up GoFundMe campaigns. They take very little. What kind of mailing lists do you have? And you need to spread the word as many ways as you can. I mean, the problem, as he mentioned, is we have such an economic downturn throughout society right now.
This will be years.
Yes, likely it will be. But used bookstores do well during economic downturns, I want to say, historically.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And a couple of things. I just received the message that Zoom, as a gift to us, they probably hear us. I hope not. But we moved the 40-minute limit for our first session, so we don't have to suddenly run. I still suggest we, stay with it. We got a strong message, but since we got a few more minutes, I want to add to what Kate and Joel just said, and Cassandra mentioned. We are not exactly competing with Amazon. We can't really, even if we wanted to, but they just had a sale and put down their sales 25% off. So obviously there's no, they removed it already, but they have way more
We should look for a grant from Amazon is what we should do. We should press
Damn
Amazon for
straight.
a grant.
Right.
Yes.
Votes, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because there's no way we can compete in.
No.
Yeah.
No.
We offer something more that Amazon cannot ever offer. So this is something for our local fans and spectators to think about it. If anybody is there watching is a lawyer,
Yeah.
So some pro bono work from somebody to help us put this together.
for books, we can pay in Russian books. Like this thing
I can pay in books. We
I
can pay
can
in
think
books.
of at least one writer that's been on the show that's a lawyer, so I'll reach out.
Yeah, Bill Petrocelli. Bill Petrocelli, who owns Book Passage, is a lawyer,
Oh, there you go.
constitutional lawyer.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Let's bring everybody in on board because we're all in it together. And it's like previously I was telling you, Joel, I'm not trying to play some Lawrence of Arabia, but I have a feeling that that's just one way for now to navigate through this time, to put
Yes.
all experience and wisdom and knowledge and
Well,
resources.
you know, one of the interesting things is Ann Patchett has such a high profile. I saw her on PBS the other night, and she was talking about this book club, War and Peace, that somebody's doing. You read 12 pages a day, you know, and you talk about it 12 pages a day. But I wonder if we might look for somebody so high profile to help us out, because Ann Patchett would lead the charge, as it were. I mean, we are who we are. We're all fabulous. Of course we are. But who's going to get the real attention?
I think that having people within the literary community may be more self-serving from a political standpoint than having people who are outside the literary community say, yeah, bookstores are important.
It's a coalition. I
Yeah.
mean, we're talking about building a coalition of some
Yeah,
sort.
That's
at this
true.
point.
That's true. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Well, we know, you know, from Globus, you know, area of expertise, a lot of writers, Russian American writers, and we all know a lot of people. So maybe we put our head together. I know a lot of journalists I worked with who are quite prominent too. That could be helpful. Obviously, everybody is invested. Everybody has a book, so everybody is invested in the bookstore. So yeah, well, let's take it from here. I think it's been way more productive than I hoped for it to be. I'm really thankful for everyone to just jump in the last minute, and Cassandra for hosting it. Thank you so much. And now we have the writers, Cassandra and I and Joel are all writers, and the painters and the bookstores all together, and we're gonna grow it, and maybe, you know, I'm hopeful.
I am hopeful. Thank you for this.
Yes.
Thank you.
If we
It's very encouraging, I have to say. And Joel, I really appreciate your historic perspective.
Thank you so much. If we meet next week, I got to get another hat.
I like your hat. We can switch them.
We might all consider some hats.
I'm gonna have to wear one, period.
Here we are.
Hats.
I would love to do one next week if you all want to, or we could do every other week or something to get time to get.
I think for now we should do every week, only because it's so much time is of the essence, and God knows we have time on our hands.
Amen. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Totally.
If you're game, if you guys y'all are game.
Time on your hands.
I'm in.
I'm definitely in, and I do think we'll get Pegasus, maybe E.M. Wolfman. We got some East
Oh
Bay.
yeah, ask Justin. Ask
Yeah.
I have a
Justin,
good vibe. I have a good connection with Bill Petrocelli. I'll write to him.
Cool.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And they have some leverage.
I'll reach out to the Beat Museum, and I'll think. I mean, Alley Cat Books apparently are you.
Alley Cat, sweet little Alley Cat. We can get Eric over at Bird and Beckett.
Bird and Beckett.
We all know everybody.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
listen out,
City Lights would have a lot of leverage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Elaine. Try
And
to-
most of the most of the regular reading series that take place at like Alley Cat and the other bookstores are all they're all on Zoom right now, so people can look for them.
Nice.
If they're looking for events and going stir crazy and want to hear some good stuff, I've tuned into a few on this platform.
Nice.
And it's great. It's just like so nice to see your friends' faces and hear words. It's wonderful.
Yeah, exactly.
So Zoom, if you're listening, you're clearly making all the money. So maybe you should donate to bookstores.
Shameless.
Absolutely. Everybody should donate to bookstores because this is the Badass Bookworm podcast. So you're probably a bookworm if you're listening. And you should find ways to support, whether it's ordering books, looking for GoFundMe. All of you have websites up that people can find how to do what needs to be done.
Yeah, Peru.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Rebound books, Alley Cat books, Dogeared books, and Globus books, right?
That's it.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. It's been
See you next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else, Zarina? Zarina will post links to all the research. She did extensive research on grants and stuff.
You know, the only thing I'm going to say about all those grants, and I thank you so much for all that information. I'm pouring through it. Read them so carefully because there's such short payback times on some of them. I mean, we've really got to filter through all this information. And I would really like to see some of these promises kept. You know, 10 million here, 100 million there. Well, give me a fucking application. Excuse me.
Quite all right. It's the badass bookworm.
Anyways.
All right.
Yay. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you all.
Everybody has a wonderful Sunday.
Bye. Bye.